No, we don't need to clap. We're already set. Oh my god.
Wow. What's up, guys? I'm JJ.
I'm Derek.
And I'm the camera.
Our camera identifies as Romaine. Dude, what did we talk about last week? I know it got heated towards the end.
Last week, we started reminiscing about our past, which was all great. And then we started getting into a topic of religion with my brother, Thomas. And then Romaine brought up the question and talking point of rage baiting.
And then that spiraled into a downward, upward rage bait of a conversation.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, so if you guys missed that episode, how about this? I'm going to start doing this. Click this link right here, and it'll take you to that one. But...
And if you want to get to the fun stuff, just skip to the minute 45 marker-ish.
Hour 45?
No, the minute 45.
Whatever. If you missed last week's video, here it is. And if you are caught up and up to date, continue watching, enjoy, and yeah, let's get into it.
All right.
Now we can transition into the next segment.
Well, we don't have to clap each segment.
No, you don't. I'm just calling your attention, I'll be honest.
So our first talking point today, I really want to touch back into it about last week, touching on religion.
You know, they do touch in some religions.
So let's just open the floor. JJ, we've been friends now for a long time. And honestly, I don't think we've ever once had a genuine heart-to-heart about where you stand with faith.
I mean, I believe in God.
Mm. Would you consider yourself just a bystander definition Christian?
I mean, I define it as I'm not a hardcore Christian, but like,
Sure.
I do go to church when I can or wake up. I mean, I pray.
Your whole life, have you always gone to what is a Methodist church?
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian. So for you, what does Presbyterian mean? Because we got all these sort of denominations, and I grew up Mormon, which is to a lot of people on the vast polar opposite spectrum.
It's fake.
We'll get into that. But with you being Presbyterian, what do you think is the biggest takeaway that church has kind of emphasized to you?
See, but I don't know if I can answer that as
like
Presbyterian, though, because my thing is I don't really know what differs it from other denominations. I just know that like Baptists and Methodists are pretty closely similar to Presbyterian versus Catholics. They have like a whole separate kind of thing. And the Mormons, that's a completely separate thing. Mm. Then you also have Pescatarian. Wait. No, that's people
Those are people who eat fish.
I mean, you got them too. They probably, I don't know. But, I mean, what I've always, at least to my knowledge of what I've learned in churches, you have the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, but they're also, it's like a Trinity, but like God is the Father of Jesus, but Jesus is also still just the physical embodiment of God, even though he's the Son. I don't know. I don't really...
I mean, how much impact has it really had on your life?
I mean, it depends. Like, I have my moments where, like, I try to be more aware and coherent of my relationship with God and, like, my path on that kind of spiritual plane of living life. Mm-hmm. But then there's other times where it's, like I said, I still go to church, I still pray, but, like, it's not necessarily the forefront of my thoughts. But I don't know. I don't necessarily know what kind of impact it's made on my life because, in a sense, the way I believe in God is whatever happens, it was a part of his plan, good and bad. And the fact that I'm still here means that he doesn't think it's my time. I feel like that's really when I kind of notice it the most of when I try to get closer is especially in my darker mental states or darker times where, like, you know, I didn't come out successful in something. I came out, I guess, in a sense, failing. Like, I guess that's when it feels more impactful to me to realize, like, you know, tomorrow's a new day. It's never guaranteed.
Right.
You know, and not a lot of people are blessed to wake up the next morning. But as far as, like, Presbyterian goes, I don't know what that's done for me. Nothing. I mean, not nothing.
It's just the church that your family's been going to,
Yeah,
so it's just...
I don't really know anything else. I mean, I've been to your church a couple times back in high school.
You know, I don't think I've ever been to a single service of, like, a real service of yours. Maybe once back in high school, but honestly...
I don't think you ever came to church.
Yeah, I don't think...
I know Carter came to church. Well, Carter went to the same church as me.
So, okay, so going from
did.
that route, how is it different from the church I grew up in?
Dude, I'm not going to lie, I was bored. But I also was, like, in a weird mentality of, like, I wasn't going to church every Sunday, and
Yeah.
it was also a lot longer of a service, so it was like I was very attentive until I wasn't, and then it was like, okay, we're past the hour marker, and I was like, dude, I feel like I'm in, like, a gospel church right now without the singing. Like, why is it 8 hours long? Y'all's beliefs are a little different, too. Like, the dude that created Mormonism got high off of a mushroom and saw 2 Jesuses. That's a joke. I mean, it might not be. How do we know? We weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up Mormon, and in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is what they were... The people
I'd
refer
like
to
to point
themselves
out,
as.
in every single one of those churches, there's a Joaquin Phoenix Joker poster or picture. I call it that because it looks like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker from a glance from afar, but it's just that very stereotypical Jesus picture of him in, like, the red robe with the long hair. But it's just like, it's like a bust of him, but it's in every classroom. There's a big one on the wall somewhere in those churches, but every single...
I mean, there is a lot of photos of the whitewashed version of Jesus.
But I'm saying it's that one specific one. I know what
you're talking about.
I gotta show it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up Mormon, but I cannot say with... I can't say that I actually am Mormon. You know, I always built my...
This one from afar looks like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Show the camera. Yeah, I mean, that's the exact one that I knew he was talking about.
Yeah, every single church has that specific picture of Jesus, and when I was working...
I don't get Joaquin Phoenix from that, though.
I was really tired. You gotta remember, I was, like, up for 18 hours straight, like, with maybe 30 minutes in between each time I was up for 18 hours while working in those churches. So when it was dark at 3 a.m., turn on one light, and at the end of the hallway, I just get a glance of long hair and red. I was like, dude, that's Joaquin Phoenix Joker, dude. And yeah, that's Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't even think of it. Anyways, continue. You don't know if you're necessarily Mormon.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever consider myself Mormon. I do like a lot of...
Did you used to? Or did you not really know?
I don't think I ever truly know because, you know, when you grow up somewhere and they teach you, like, this is your life, this is how you live, I mean, it gets to a point when you're 16, 17, that's really all you know.
And
So
you either question it or you don't.
Yeah, and I mean, I was never at the point where I was questioning it because all of my best friends were in the church. I mean, all of my family friends were in the church. Like, we all grew up together. So I never had any inclination to actually doubt the church at all. I just thought that's what it was. And for me, I remember I started dating girls that weren't in the church. And I would go to church with them, whether it was Baptist, Presbyterian, Methodist. And I remember being just very put off because I'd get there and my whole life I was raised to, you know, wear your Sunday best. Everybody wears a suit and tie or like a dress or whatever. You know, it's just dress nice.
That's still kind of
yeah,
the normal
but
and
like
traditional
just
churches.
on a very baseline level, I remember going to these churches and seeing just guys in, you know, just a regular polo shirt and jeans, you know, like tucked in. And to me, like, that wasn't a big thing, but it was a thing that I noticed. And
Was
just,
it a contemporary service or a traditional service? Or do you
I
not
guess
really know the
traditional.
difference?
I mean, you had the pastor up there, and he was wearing his suit and tie, and some older ladies were wearing a dress. But then, we have people in the younger crowd, and there'd also be guys like wearing hats in the church, with their like sunglasses. And maybe it's because we're down here in the South, but I mean, it's just real redneck looking folk. Nothing wrong with rednecks, but it's just like you can see it in the crowd, And to me, that was just very off-putting. And what was also off-putting was just the recited prayers that everybody said. And I forget whether this was Methodist, I believe this was, or it was Baptist or something. And I remember I was with an ex, and we were in one service, and they started off the whole thing, and it was just so weird to me because they would hand you the program, and it would just have exactly what everybody was saying. Like they would start the whole service with the prayer, and everybody like chants the prayer. And for me, growing up as I did, where there really were no recited prayers except for the sacrament, which was when we just take the Sunday like bread and water to renew your covenants with God and to kind of absolve your sins for that
Y'all
week.
did that every Sunday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Interesting.
every Sunday. Like it would go. God, I'm having such a hard time remembering now, but basically, you get there, you sing a song, and the bishop would have like a few words to say, and then it would kind of lead into the sacrament, and then you would have 16-year-olds, 16 to 18-year-olds, and they would break the bread, and they would just speak into the microphone, blessing the bread and then blessing the water, and then they would just pass that out to the whole congregation, and it was just also like bone silent every time. Like you could hear every cough, every turn of a page, like just bone silent. And that's what I was used to. And then I go to the other churches where they're also doing that, but like I remember they would pass these like wafers, and this was also like a Catholic church, and that's a whole another thing.
Well, we'll say every church's bread is different. Whether it's bread, crackers, wafers, whatever. I feel like every church. I've been to multiple Presbyterian churches, and their bread and whatever flavor
It's always
juice
stale.
they had.
It's always so stale. But yeah, I mean, it was just different, And as I started getting older and more of my friends were going on their missions, which in the church, if you were 18, or is it 17? 18, yeah. So when you turn 18, you get called to serve a mission for the church, which is basically just to go out in the world and spread the gospel for 2 years. And, I had all my friends going off to do their thing.
Did you go on a mission?
No.
Oh.
No. I mean, I
Poser.
I guess. I mean, I get to the point where I'm 18, and all of my friends, because I was the youngest in my friend group, had already left. So then I started hanging out with non-Mormon friends, i.e. you, Josh, and, other people from high school. And I'm not saying that you guys had an influence at all, but at a level, there was some sort of outside influence to not do that because, all you guys were talking about, college, career, what you guys want to do. And to me, it's been ingrained, okay, once I turn 18, like I got to spend 2 years, serving, the Lord and spreading the gospel. And that wasn't really something that was that important to me because I never felt like I was, I don't know, I never felt like it was for me, And again, that might have been because of the outside influence, me dating girls outside of the church. And then, I mean, once I turned 18 and then I graduated high school, I took a whole gap year before I even decided what I wanted to do. And I was dating this one girl, and she was like, well, you should go to college. And it was also kind of tough because her family was like anti-Mormon at all. And I just really wanted to fit in. So I guess I just stopped going to my church entirely. And by the time I got into college, wasn't really a thought in my mind. And I mean, I tried to go back a couple of times, but it never really felt right again. Like, from being a person raised in that church and then stop going and then to start going again, but it never felt like I was back in my church. Like, it felt like I was in somebody else's church, if that makes sense.
Right.
And even to this day, it still kind of feels that way. But that's not to say that I don't believe in God. I mean, I started talking about it last week, but I feel like I had a huge, like, coming to Christ moment where I was like, you know what, this is something that I want to do. You know, I want to read my scriptures. I want to follow the commandments, you know, and just live a more fruitful life. And I am still of this mindset that you can do that without ever needing to apply yourself or to segregate yourself into a certain denomination of sorts. And I think if you go to any church will have a bit of truth in it. But I don't necessarily feel like there's one church that has, you know, the whole truth.
I don't think so either. I think they all have their different twists on it, and I don't think it's necessarily the current church's fault. I think it's how they all got segregated back when the denominations were created, and everybody kind of
Right, because you got to think, like, they originally started getting separated because there was one guy who was like, I agree with you, but not on this. And so I'm going to start my own church, and this is what it's going to be about. And then from there, that's how that grew.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot more that went into why the denominations became separate denominations, but at the same time, I mean, I agree. I don't think you necessarily... I mean, I think going to church isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. I mean, I don't think it's ever a bad thing, but I feel like the most important part is
your relationship with God.
Believing in God.
Yeah.
Your relationship with God, and trying to strengthen that and solidify your place in heaven. I don't think that has anything to do with going to church or whatever.
Now, our cameraman, who is from Jamaica, actually came to the States, and he was converted into being a Mormon. I mean, do you want to talk about that process at all and where that went for you? Because you even went on your mission.
You did?
Yeah.
I forgot.
To reel it back just a little bit to make sense of the topic, which is religion. I mean, I know we're giving our personal testimonies and all that and experiences, but on a broader scale, religion, I think it's a good thing, period. I don't think there's anything really wrong with religion, whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, or, you know, to believe in something is inherently good. Because honestly, in my personal opinion, I think that living a life with no beliefs or nothing to, you know, give you hope or guidance through this crazy life that we live in is
something to build to.
I think that's a sad life to live. I think it's an empty life to live. So having something to kind of direct your compass, whether it's moral, spiritual, physical, I think that's inherently good. Now, all the little details about what that entails might be good, might be bad, but inherently I think it's good to believe in general. My personal beliefs on religion, I mean, a little bit of background. I grew up Catholic, bounced around a few churches as I grew up, but the basis of my religious beliefs are founded in Catholicism. So first church was Catholic, was christened as a baby in a Catholic church, went to Catholic schools, private Catholic schools my entire life up until I moved to the States. Visited multiple churches, Baptist, Lutheran, Seventh-day Adventist, literally all of them, Jehovah's Witness even.
Like all of them under the sun.
Pretty much most of the branches of Christianity, or the denominations of Christianity that you can think of, I've probably had visited that church at least once or twice. But my basis in Catholicism had always remained. Now, when I moved to the States, we kind of fell into the Seventh Day Adventist genre of Christianity because of my stepdad, who we moved here to live with. That was his established religion, his established church. So from Jamaica to here, found ourselves going to the Seventh Day Adventist Church every Saturday. Observed the Sabbath, did everything that church said. I mean, it was not necessarily a bad experience, but I don't think that was an experience that I found on my own, and I think that made it a little less worthwhile, a little harder for it to stick or be ingrained in my mentality or beliefs, my belief system, especially at the age that I came. I came here at about 14 years old. So, experience there was cool. For the first 2-3 years of being in the States, that's where my religious standing was. I was still a Christian at heart, Christian beliefs. I just happened to follow the teachings of the Seventh Day Adventist Church, as in following or observing the Sabbath whenever, they did, and, following the rules, especially because I was a strict stepfather that he didn't care to divert or, stray away from their teachings. So just followed that.
Is that a church that also focuses on like the Godhead and like the Trinity, or is that more focused on just?
To be honest with you, I can't even tell you. Most of my time in that church, I tried to spend in the tech booth, and I honestly didn't really pay attention just because
Okay.
I tried to make it stick for a while. Honestly, wasn't really.
But it just never felt like
Didn't.
right.
No. We had Bible studies every Friday night.
Side note, before I forget,
Mm-hmm.
when you said you were christened as a kid, is that the same thing as being baptized, or is that two completely different
It's
things?
essentially the same thing. I don't recall that there's any difference between the two.
That's just what.
So as a baby, you get christened, and it's
And that's like
basically
your
a blessing.
parents' decision.
It's basically a blessing over the baby that you live a good life. And,
But so is that a Catholic term for the? Baptism type
I
of
want
thing?
to say yes. I'm not going to tell you 100% yes, but I'm almost positive that's the case. That's what
Yeah, I feel like that's primarily a Catholic thing because baptism that's kind of like universal to Christians, and that's basically when you're ready to devote your life. But like christening is just like, here's my baby, like you said, have a good life.
you offer
you
a
know?
blessing over the baby's life.
Yeah.
You get the holy water and you draw a cross on the baby's forehead and offer a blessing, and that's pretty much it. Now there's a few more modern versions I've seen since I've been christened. Not that I remember my christening, but from the christenings I remember growing up, it was essentially you get the cross drawn on your forehead with just holy water. But I've seen a few modern day christenings where, I mean, you've seen the memes where they're dipping the baby and like throwing it around in
Have you
in
seen
a
the one
bowl
with the
kind
water
of thing.
gun? It's
They
like a
have
free
water
solo.
guns. I've seen
That was during COVID.
a few modern variations of christening. I don't think that, I mean, completely biased, opinionated, opinion here, but I don't think that's how that should go because that's not how mine went, and I don't think that follows any form of reverence. Honestly.
Well, I also don't feel like at that point, I mean, just because your parents decide, hey, I want to christen my child and basically devote its life to God, it's like, okay, but what happens if this child grows up to be an insanely fucked up human being?
Yeah, I think it's
didn't
honestly
make that
more
choice,
than
though.
anything. I see christenings as a wish of goodwill, a
I was gonna
blessing
say,
of
like, a
goodwill,
wish.
essentially.
More like a prey on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
my
It's just
child kind of thing.
let's break it down into just ABCs. It's just a glorified blessing. You could have just stayed home and prayed over your baby, a really special prayer that night.
but this is just making an event.
But this
of
just
it.
turns it into a whole thing.
Yeah.
So christening. Well, anyways, fast forward all these years later in the States, going to Seventh Day Adventist Church, going to high school here. I had a buddy in high school. His name was Blake. Shared a class with him. Became kind of cool. Became tight. Then all of a sudden we were hanging out outside of school. That would be sometimes it would be at his house. Actually, a lot of times it would be at his house. And I remember the first time I met his family, it was as someone that's met a few families in my lifetime. Not that I get around like that, but as somebody that has met a few families in my lifetime, I'd never met any family quite as interesting in a good way as his. And it had always like tickled my brain a little bit, like feathered me a little bit in terms of like, why are they so different? And it's consistent amongst all of them. It didn't give me like a weird vibe, a cult vibe, anything like that. It was just like, it was more like a very strong sense of love, peace, and enjoyment of each other,
Yeah, like they
regardless of
have
the
a
day and the
strong,
situation.
just inherent family bond.
And I had not ever come across anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
It feathered my brain, didn't really think about it too much, continued hanging out with them for months. And then I recall one of the times I was there, they had the missionaries over. They were teaching a lesson. So one of the things that the missionaries in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does is they go out and they teach lessons not just to people. They don't just proselyte to folks on the street or in the stores or wherever, or as people commonly know them to be doing is to be knocking doors. They also offer service. They also service members of the church, standing members of the church. So they'll go over to members' houses and they offer lessons, prayers, whatever is needed. Honestly,
helping hand, like
sometimes
anything.
it's just service work. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're moving out of this house. We need some extra hands. Like, can the missionaries come and help? And they'll just come and
One
do that.
time we had these dudes come and paint our garage.
Yeah, totally plausible. So the first time I encountered the missionaries, they were just there teaching a lesson. And I had never honestly met missionaries ever before. Thought they were cool. Sat through the lesson. I was a pretty open book, pretty open kid. I didn't even know anything about the Latter-day Saint Church at this point. Never had an experience with it. Never heard of it before. And I remember at the end of the lesson, when I had mentioned that I enjoyed it and stuff, I got invited to church. And I said, sure, why not? So I went. Probably, if not that following Sunday, 2 Sundays later, or something like that. There wasn't any pressure or anything like that. It was more so just an open invitation. And I accepted. And I went. And the first thing I remember when I went to church that Sunday was that same experience I had with meeting Blake's family. I had a very similar experience meeting all the members in the church. And so there was some kind of a click or a connection there, like, okay, something's up, like there's something about this church, Again, I didn't get a cult vibe or like anything negative. It was more just a consecutive sense of peace, togetherness, and just honestly just the weirdest sense of love that I could ever
Like a
describe.
sense of community, pretty much.
So honestly, I had never felt that kind of community before. So I mean, it was hard to describe, but it definitely piqued my interest. Found myself going more and more. And fast forward a few months from there, started taking lessons from the missionaries, learning a little bit more about the church, becoming more and more interested. And honestly, I just listened with an open ear. I was a blank slate to draw on, and all the stuff that I was taught, I'm not going to say every last detail stuck, but the most important ones did. And found myself getting baptized a few months into being taught. And from there, I became a member of the church, became pretty active in the church. That experience was, I don't have any negative experiences or negative memories of that experience itself. Became a part of the priesthood, which is a part of their structure. They have the priesthood, which you can serve not just the church, but your community in many different capacities based on what they call the priesthood keys, which there's a whole topic to discuss, but
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
the organization is very structured, and I became a part of the organization in some capacity, serving within and outside the church, doing service outside the church, serving sacrament inside the church, and even offering blessings at some point later down the line. And honestly, it was an experience But fast forward even further past that, I'm a little bit more so towards where Derek is now. Current belief on or current stance on religion is that there's a bit of truth to be found pretty much in
Anywhere.
all churches that you visit, whether it's a little bit of truth or a lot of truth or something in between. I think there's truth to be found pretty much anywhere you go, because the fact of the matter is that for the most part they're all worshiping the same person, whether they do that on Sundays, Saturdays, or whether they, you know, offer regurgitated prayers or individualized testimonies, or, you know, one way or another, they're worshiping the same God. And I think that's a good start. And you'll find that similarity between pretty much any Christmas church, pretty much between any Christian church that you visit. But I don't think that there's entirety of truth in any just one church. I think there's some that come close to it, and there's some that are very far from it. I'm not necessarily the one qualified to say that this is more true than the other, and I don't think that there's anyone on earth that is qualified to say that.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone should come out and be like, oh, this is my church and this is the reason why it's church. Like, it's great that you can have that sort of passion and faith that what you believe in is true. And I think everybody should hold that. But at the same time, there should be a fine line of like, okay, I'm willing to hear you out on why you're a Buddhist, you know? Because, not saying that you are a Buddhist, but like people around the world have very different views, you know? And I mean, my own mom, she started talking about how she was diving into like Buddhist books and everything and trying to adapt more of a so-called Buddhist lifestyle. And I mean, she's just been literally as happy as can be. And she doesn't really consider herself any which way. Like, she's still Christian. She still believes in God, but she is just more on the idea of that, like, if I can just live a good life, help others where I can, then all will be as it is, you know?
I think that was kind of a general, like, kind of rundown summary of just our history with religion now.
Yeah, I mean,
Significantly shorter.
I really like the idea to be able to talk about religion. And honestly, like, I would love to be at the point where I could, you know, recite scripture, because not just to like show off, but to prove my faith, if you would.
To who?
More so myself, really, to show that I actually care, to the point where I could just drum up a scripture because it's been ingrained into my heart and my mind, you know? And honestly, I kind of envy the people who can do that. Not in the sense of like, oh wow, like they're nerds, like they just know the Bible in and out. It's more so like just me being envious of that willingness to put that memorization in to regurgitate that, if that makes sense. Or is that just me?
I don't know if proving it's the right word, though.
Not proving it, but just,
Because
again, not to anyone else, but just to yourself.
I mean, I don't think anybody.
I mean, if anybody asks, like, this is how I feel. And honestly, I remember there's this one particular moment, and it was maybe a month or so ago. And I was working at the restaurant, and I was working a double shift. So I was there in the morning, and then I was there till close. So in the morning shift, it was just kind of dead. And I remember this lady, she just tipped me like a $20 bill. And I was like, sweet, cool, $20. And, you know, I was like, you know what, this is literally half of my tips for the day. Like, I had maybe 3 tables. And so I go for my break. And then I remember on my way back, I had like stuffed that 20 like into my pocket. And I never, ever carry cash with me. Like, I'm always just use my card, just because that's the lifestyle we live in. Anyway, like, I'm walking back into the restaurant, and I pass this family on the street. And there were 3 kids. There was the dad, the mom, and they had all their stuff with them.
You got scammed.
They were wearing raggedy clothes.
Where was this?
Walmart.
It was in Midtown. I mean,
Maybe not
listen,
scams. I don't know.
listen. I was walking
I
up.
thought he was talking about the restaurant in Kennesaw. I was
No,
like,
no, no,
there's
no,
no
no.
shot. There's
No,
a
this
whole
was
family.
this
of
was
homeless
in
people.
Atlanta, like in Midtown. And I remember I was walking past, and the dude, he sat there. He looked at me. He was like, "Hey, man, can you spare anything?" And like, I hate that I did this, but I instinctively was just like, "Sorry, man, I don't have anything for you." And I was like, wish you the best. And as I started like walking away, I got closer and closer to the restaurant, and then I just had this like primal urge to turn around and go back to him, and I couldn't understand why. I'm like, why do I feel obliged to turn back
It's
around?
human nature to help others.
Well, yeah, but like I got all the way into the restaurant, and I started setting myself down because I was getting ready to clock in, and it just came a moment where I was like, I can't do this. Like I cannot clock in right now. And I was just like, I have $20 in my pocket that I literally just got earlier today.
Bro got
And so,
rage baited into giving us $20.
not even like I ran out of the restaurant and I started jogging back to make sure that the family was still there because it looked like they were getting ready to leave. So I got back there
because
and I
they
was,
made their
well,
millions of dollars that day.
no, man, like I pulled out my 20 and I was like, dude, I totally forgot I had this in my pocket and I wanted it. I wanted you guys to have it. And I don't know, like just seeing him, like I cannot express into words the feeling that I felt on that day. And so I gave him the 20.
Homeless people.
I gave him that 20.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, dude. Like I'm trying to
I was just
shut up. I gave him that 20 and I was like, "Hey man, I know this isn't much, but I just hope that you guys can, do something with this." And just I feel like someone else was talking for me. I was just like, "Can I pray for you?" Like I've never done that before in my life. And he was like, "Absolutely, like please." And so like I put my hand on his shoulder and we both like bowed our heads and his woman came over and she bowed her head as well. And I just started praying. I don't even remember what I said. But at the end of it, dude, I was bawling right there on the street. And he started crying and then the woman, I was like, guys, like I'm getting emotional right now just talking about it. Like I pretty much just gave him a hug and I was like, listen, I hope you guys can find your way somewhere, And as I'm like walking back to the restaurant, I was just bawling the entire
Way to
time.
get a job application. That's what you should do.
Bro, no, it just breaks my heart to see people out there like that. Because you look at a stray dog and a lot of people
can't get a job to help itself.
you see a stray dog and you're just like, "Aw," but then like you don't know what those people have been through.
Not my problem. They're sure not figuring it out. Was he missing any limbs?
No,
Was he missing any teeth?
not that I recall. But it
did he
doesn't
speak
matter. Yeah, he was speaking clearly, but it doesn't matter then. Like
He could get a job.
I just
she
felt
could
so
get
bad,
a
and
job.
literally ever since then, I've had a different mindset of homeless people because, I've just
I agree.
kinda-
You did the right thing. I'm not
I-
knocking what you did.
I
I just
grew
hate
up in
homeless people.
a place where I was always told to just, don't bother with the homeless people. But there's just something so inherently wrong with that because you don't know at all what people have been through.
I think there are
and-
ways to go about it, though. Like, you shouldn't just give homeless people money. You should go with them or go buy food for them and give it to them. Because if you just give them money, they're not all bad or going to use it for bad
That's
things.
their choice to make. But at least I have the knowledge that I at least tried.
But the thing is, if you force them to have that food versus having money they could spend on whatever, you're inherently forcing them to not make that bad decision with the little bit of money you gave them. Now, granted,
But
they
that's
could try.
not. That shouldn't be my.
You chose
action to
to go
control.
out of your way to help them, so you might as well go the extra mile and actually help them and not give them an outlet to buy drugs.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and baby them, but at the same time, like it was just a gut feeling when I walked past this man and his family.
I wasn't talking about him. I was just talking about
But
the
in
comment
general,
of not
because like
helping
I've never
homeless
really had that feeling when walking past homeless people. I've had times where I walked past homeless people and I was like, like I moved away a little bit, but now it's kind of a point where I'm just like, are you okay? Do you need a hug? I don't want to be someone who judges off the cover of a book. And I think that just goes back into where I've been at mentally with my own faith, because what would Jesus do?
Tell him to get a job.
Oh my God.
That's what he would do.
Anyways. So.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of just being a dick. I think having a conversation with them, see what, what's going on, where they came from. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I mean, if you have the cash, I mean, I don't see an issue with it. But at the same time, I think we live in a world where you don't know. You don't know if they're going to go buy drugs. You don't know if they're fake. You don't really know. And it's just like, I think that's the part that sucks, because yes, as human nature, we want to help people. And of course,
but some people would take advantage of that.
Right.
Like, I've seen people on TikTok
because how you and I have been raised, we want to help people when we can. I mean, when I have cash, I don't care how much cash it is.
I'm just saying,
if I
like,
see a homeless person, I'll give it to them. But
inherent good feeling of when you just know. And something told me, it was like, help this man out. And so I did.
I think that's great.
Thanks.
I still think you should have gotten a job, but
I agree with JJ, but I think that's great.
No, that's what I said too. I mean, I think you did the good person thing to do, but I hate homeless people.
I don't hate them, but I do have a very controversial opinion on them.
I mean, I don't hate them as people. I hate the whole idea of... It's one thing to be going through something and being homeless because you just got evicted or you got kicked out or broken up with or your family died and you have nothing. But it's another thing to sit there and just beg day after day after day to the point where they either go crazy, they get on drugs, or they just get used to it and they live off of that money. And they're just... It's like... Just for an analogy, it's like national parks. They always tell you don't feed the animals because then they become dependent on that food. They become naturally, instinctively on a time schedule of that person's bringing me bread, that person's bringing me steak. And homeless people are literally the public park animals. And I'm not calling them animals. I'm just in the analogy. They are the animals getting accustomed to people just...
I think that you did a really good job with that analogy. That was one of your better analogies, I'm not going to lie. 100%. Yeah.
It's not that I hate the people.
A couple brain cells there. I like that.
I woke up for a second. I don't hate the people.
You ate that. Number 8. You ate that. Oh. Yeah, there you go.
I don't hate the people. I just hate the laziness of, yes, have your hardships, have your time of, you got to go through it and you got to figure it out, but you're still trying. You have the people that are still trying and it's just not working. And you have the people that are... It's just like the people that rely on food stamps. It's like the people that rely on unemployment. It's like the people that...
Speaking of food stamps.
Well, that's actually where I got the analogy for the national park thing. Somebody made that analogy about the food stamps.
So it wasn't your analogy.
No, but it was my analogy about homeless
people. And here I
people.
was giving you kudos. Maybe you should cite your source so I can give it to them.
It was a random comment on Instagram.
You should send me that person's profile so I can send them a DM of... Thank you for the analogy.
Regardless, the analogy still is valid, though, because that was mainly where my disagreement
came from. Can I add to that and kind of lead into my personal opinion on homelessness? We're talking about religion, but since we're on the topic...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a rabbit hole. Let's go.
Seems to be hot.
Anyways, go ahead, Romaine.
To your point and opinion...
And my non-analogy.
And your non-cited analogy.
My non-original analogy.
Yeah, you didn't provide your works cited for that one, so a small slap on the wrist is what you deserve. But
it's a podcast. We don't have to give sources.
Regardless, not to take away from your religious experience, it seems like you're in a spot where, honestly, the direction of this podcast, I feel like it's kind of been somewhat of an outlet for your recent experiences. Completely okay. And I think I think it's a good place for you to kind of, let
I mean, that was kind of the point, is just for all of us to just talk,
Well, sounds like you've specifically been going through a more spiritual experience
He's
recently.
saying you do a whole lot of
Okay,
yapping
my
and
bad.
a lot less
My bad.
listening.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's cool to be able to come to a place where you can have a conversation, whether it's recent, ongoing, or in the past. But all that to say, not to take away from your experience there, sounds like you had a very spiritual experience, and I think that's great. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But to the very real point that JJ made, in today's world, there's so many homeless people that do take advantage of the perception of being homeless. You have folks that take advantage of it in the sense of the zoo animals analogy. They become dependent and they don't want to break that cycle because they don't care to see better or care to do better
Or care to take the risk.
or care to take the risk of going to achieve better. They find comfortability in that exact position on that exact Walmart corner with that exact sign that says those exact 7 words: need help for food, need money for food, whatever, they do write on the little cardboards to get the money.
Okay, see, yeah, I get where you're coming from with that because I do know what you're talking about, especially over there on like Highway 5 going into that like Sam's Club in the Walmart. I feel like there's always some new
There is, but
family.
on a larger scale of the topic of homelessness, you may see the same faces or the same 4 or 5 faces, same 4 or 5 groups of people on in the same 10 miles of a vicinity. And you wonder how they get from location to location. They have their own cars. A lot of them do. The ones that are actually not homeless, don't get me wrong, there are homeless people. There are people going through it. Whatever. But you do have a large scale scheme of people that take advantage of being homeless. The fact of the matter is that in today's society, we have that issue, but we also have way too many resources for people to be on sidewalks with cardboards. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of faults and flaws to the system that we live in when it comes to shelters, government support, food stamps, WIC, all those good things. But at the same time, it is not that bad that you have to spend all of your days on the side of a street with a sign begging for money each and every day. Especially, like to JJ's point, if you have teeth in your mouth, you have soluble words, you have all of your limbs, you have, you're completely, you
In a sense, normal.
you can work.
Yeah.
You can work. And don't get me wrong, job economy is horrible. But at the same time, there's way too many resources for that to be your consistent outlet. And, it could be someone like you that have been going through, some more religious experiences in your recent times, whether it's, something truly revelational or something where you're just a season of your life or whatever it is, that will appeal to folks like you, especially in whatever season or whatever reason you're going through in that moment. And that gives you a great experience on your end, and it gives you an experience that you can remember and refer to and, stuff like that. But the reality of it is that you think about that family. If you go back to that family, not saying that it's just going to be all the time, but 9 times out of 10, I feel like, personal opinion, you will find that family or that person or that group of people doing the exact same things a month later. The exact same approach, the exact same sign, the exact same look on their face, the exact same appeal. To get another $20, to get another $40, to get another Nabisco cracker. Same thing, and it's so repetitive. And honestly, I'd hate to say that my heart has hardened towards these people, but it has. Because coming to a country where, honestly, when you talk about poverty and poor, I've been there. Not to say that I've scoured the streets. I have been homeless, yes. I did. I was actually homeless here in the States before. But even the streets here are way nicer than the streets in Jamaica.
And
Don't
you
get
don't
me
see
wrong.
the people in Jamaica.
I grew up in the most dangerous town, the most dangerous community to live in. It was number 1 for quite some time in the world, for quite some time, and it still holds top 3 today in the entire world of most dangerous places to live. I grew up in that kind of environment. The roads were nasty, the people were horrible. I say the people were horrible. culture is great, but you do have some bad apples. And when it's bad, it's really bad. You know, I've seen some of the worst of the worst. And when I say the worst of the worst, that's not by my decree. That's apparently by the world's decree, because it's one of the worst, most dangerous, whatever. So I've seen poverty and I've dealt with that firsthand. So when I see some of these folks that are able-bodied, that have all their limbs, that have a whole family behind them, I'm more so towards the sense of what are you doing to make it better? Because begging is not going to do that. You're begging for a solution for the next few hours. That's going to buy you a loaf of bread a loaf of bread and maybe, 3 pieces of chicken at Popeyes, a family meal at Popeyes, and that's going to get you through the day. But what about the day after that and the day after that? What are you doing to sustain your longevity, not just for today? And especially when I see that there's so many resources in this country for people that are in the slums, quote unquote, to be able to get out of where they're at, it doesn't make sense. Unless you're physically disabled,
Or
you're mentally disabled. Even for the folks that are mentally disabled, there's so many facilities that house these people. And even where there are facilities that do overflow, don't get me wrong, I'm studying criminal justice right now where we talk about these topics about facilities that, give care to folks that are, not mentally soluble. There's so many facilities that overflow, but there's so many referral facilities that those people overflow into. They don't have if a facility is full, the next best bet is not the street. It's not.
That's another facility.
It's another facility. Whether it's 10 miles over or next city over, there's other resources. There's so many resources. Enough resources to take care of the homeless population in some degree or another, whether it's to house them or for them to have financial support, food stamps, WIC, whatever. There is so many resources for these people to not have to be on the side of the street every single day with the same spiel, the same look on their face, the same clothes, to display the same appeal.
So with that in mind, I think the point that I really wanted to emphasize is, yes, you should, of course, watch your pockets in a sense and just, keep an open mind about what's actually going on. But just, I don't know, yes, for me, it was a very specific instance for me where I had just this integral, gut feeling for myself. I feel like with that, yeah, I want to help, but I totally understand where you guys are coming from. They could have just used that for whatever.
But at the same time, we're not knocking on what you did.
No, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're still putting your good karma out in the world, whether they don't get it. What you give comes back around. So yes, there's nothing wrong with what you did.
Yeah. So going with that, I don't want people to think that you should just harden your heart. Anyways, just again keep your mind open to the reality of what's going on. But when there's that moment when you just know. There's no work around it. If you were walking on the street and you found a guy, if you were walking on the street and you found a guy and you just have this gut feeling to go talk to him,
Probably
and you
not.
couldn't explain it.
Nah, probably not. I would probably just be like, fuck them.
Anyway.
Same with Taco Bell when they ask if I want to round up to donate to the children's hospital. Fuck them. No.
I actually have been doing that now.
You understand you're just paying Taco Bell back. They already donated the money.
Yeah.
So don't...
It's 17 cents.
But they're just trying to make their money back.
It's 17 cents.
That you didn't have to give. It's not going to the kids. They already gave them to the kids.
Can I interject a controversial opinion on donations?
Do.
Whether it's on the street or at the drive-thru window, honestly, my personal opinion on it is that it's for your own conscience. Because my thing is, unless I'm directly giving you help, so for example, the homeless person, right? Act on the feeling. I agree with that, 100%. Whether it's a spiritual feeling or just a gut feeling or just you feel nice that day, act on it. Why not? You're putting out good into the
I feel like you're doing more good for them than you are even donating to.
You are. But here's my thing. My controversial opinion on this is, as much as I love money, I also hate it just as much. Because it's one of the truest things from religion that I've, derived is money is the root of all evil. It is the root of so much evil. Seriously. And you'll find it, I mean, you see social experiments. One of my rabbit holes that I like to go down on TikTok.
Are the people who are like, hey, do you mind helping me?
No, not even that. There's people that go around in stores that drop fake $20 bills or a fake envelope filled with like hundreds of dollars.
The motion picture money.
And the older black lady.
And they'll have these people like, oh, did you drop that? And it's a social experiment, obviously. And how much is in there? It was my rent. And this will be the most Christian of Christian people that serve in the baptistry at church and do all these crazy things for religion. And you'll find that they lie and attempt to steal. You'll find that they double down on their lies. You'll find that they wibble and wobble on their lies. Regardless.
And then they finally open the envelope and it says motion picture money.
There's literally when I watched the lady call the police and literally had the police on their way there. And they had to break the conversation like, this is a prank. And she kept character. This is my money. This is real money. They're trying to steal from me. Blah, blah, blah. He's right here. He looks like this. He's wearing this. He's wearing that. I'm in the back of the Sam's Club on exit 42. Double down on it. And this is a Christian woman. A proclaimed Christian woman. Mind you.
Yeah.
And this isn't like a scripted. It's a social experiment. And because and I take it as a serious thing because it's a society we live in today. Money is the root of so much evil. And it'll be amongst the most purest and cleanest of people that claim to be as pure and clean as they can be. So when I think about helping people, whether it's, like I said, on the street or in the drive-thru window, I don't consider that to be actual help. I consider actual help to be getting them through the process of getting through whatever the hell they're getting through. Money is not going to do that directly. It's what they do with the money. If you want to actually provide some actual help, hey, where are you sleeping? How can I help you find somewhere to sleep? Hey, how do you get your food? How can I help you find a way to get your food? Hey, where do you get your clothes from? How can I help you to get clothes on your back?
Well, I mean, that kind of goes back to the analogy, give a man a fish, he can eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he can feed himself for a lifetime,
It's what you did. You gave the man a fish. Not to knock your
still giving him
your
something.
Thing. You're giving him something, but
I couldn't give him a job.
And that's a
I'm not in the position to do that.
And that's a biblical.
No, but you could have helped him.
And that's a biblical.
Job application.
That's a biblical thing as well. Like
work.
Teach a man to fish, But so I mean, that's my approach when it comes to giving or helping, especially homeless, or donating to any type of charity or anything like that.
Not fiscally help.
If I'm not providing help for longevity or sustainability, I'm not giving you any help at all.
So what are your guys'
I'm just giving you your fix.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on the people who go on mission trips to build like churches and schools in third world countries?
What is that? Like, is that a related topic or is it like just segue?
I mean, kind of both because
not homeless, but religion and helping people, I guess. So it's kind of the same topic. But what are you asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
I mean,
what do you mean? What is my opinion?
We're just talking about levels of like helping people.
Right. It's a mission trip, religion. You're not giving money to a homeless person. You're going helping third world countries that literally have no choice but to be impoverished. I mean, it's not.
Have you ever done it?
I didn't go out of country, but I went and rebuilt churches in the Carolinas after the hurricanes hit.
I know that's right.
Well, it's just because I asked that because I've never personally done that, but I mean, I feel like I've never really had the opportunity to.
Oh, don't say that.
You literally chose not to do a mission.
Well, given the circumstances of the point I am,
you've never taken advantage of the opportunity to do that. Let's say that.
Yeah, sure.
We went and did that in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, but that wasn't. We got paid for that.
Yeah.
That wasn't service. That was not service. That's totally different. That's work.
No, we did a service for the government.
That's work. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, if you're asking about what do we think about mission trips, I mean, it's service. It's not. It's not me going out to give money or give people fish. It's me providing service in some capacity. So you're talking about like building churches. I mean, that's me providing infrastructure. Maybe they know how to build it. Maybe they don't.
Do you guys want to sign up for one?
What?
Huh?
Do you want to sign up for one?
No, thank you. I'm not in that point of my life. I mean, no.
Sign up for one through what church? I'm not
I
doing
don't-
a Mormon mission
don't
trip.
care.
I can't go without my phone for 2 years.
No. Well, there's lots of steps before you can't just hop in and go on a mission trip for 2 years.
I'd rather
That's not how
become
that
an
works.
illegal citizen and then try to get legal again before I went through the Mormon mission process.
Pardon?
No. But I mean, with any church or just organization,
I mean, my church does mission trips like
I think that'd
every
be
summer.
fun. I'd like to go do that.
I think you should do that and have your own experience of it.
We can make it a group thing.
Yeah.
Take my best buds with me.
What's the point? Let me start here. What's the point of you going on a mission trip? Like, why do you want to go on a mission trip? Are you just going because it's fun, or you want to?
No, I mean, I want to go to have.
Fun.
I would like to go on one to, I guess, have that peace of mind, if you want to call it that I've put in something to try and give back in some capacity.
I think that's the wrong reason to do it then.
I agree. I'm sorry, but I agree.
Then,
But hold
then
on,
what do you think would
this,
be the
this
right?
thought right here is a segue from something else you said where you, and I understand he corrected your wording, but it was the thought I had when you said you were trying to prove your relationship with God for yourself. Same thing with a mission trip. It shouldn't be a peace of mind thing. It should be you felt called to do it for God.
I'm not saying it's
for
about
his
like.
people.
I think you have the right initial feelings, but maybe some of the words don't translate those feelings very well. Because here's the thing: when you talk about a mission, you can serve a mission from literally right here.
Okay, so let me back up. I say mission. I'm not necessarily saying this is like a faith-based endeavor.
Okay, so you're using it as a metaphor, not a metaphor, but
In a loose sense, that's kind of what I'm generalizing it as.
I mean, it still applies. So you can serve a mission, or be of service, or be a service doer, or however you call that. Servant. Thank you. I don't know why that was so hard.
Service doer.
Yeah, service doer. You can be a servant from literally right here. You know, like you can go to the next gas station and assist the first homeless person you see in getting back on their feet, kind of thing. You can go out to the old lady down the street that doesn't live with anyone and fix up her garden. You know, there's so many opportunities and ways that you can serve. It's literally.
But it also
endless.
depends on what you're defining as going on a mission trip or
Again, that was a
trip to
generalization
service or a trip to serve.
But so to segue back into the point that I was trying to make is that any form of service or good that you want to put out into the world, it shouldn't be about something that comes back to you, whether it's physical, mental, or literally, or excuse me, what's the word? Spiritual. Physical, mental, or spiritual. Because the thing is, if you're putting out good into the world, you said something earlier, what would Jesus do? Jesus wouldn't do something for the sake of, I just want to do good. You know, he does it for the sake of, I love my children, I love my people. And, you know, there's nothing else besides that, you know. So, I mean, if it's something where it's like, all right, and this is honestly why I went on a mission, this is why I'm speaking about this, just from personal experience, and from learned experiences of other missionaries. But I went on a mission because I specifically found so much peace, love, and joy within the church and within the families within the church and within the scriptures and within the whole experience. So many spiritual experiences and love and XYZ from top to bottom, A through Z. It was so much for just me to have to myself. I wanted it I wanted to give that to everybody. I found so much abundance in those things that there's no way I could keep that to myself. And it wasn't like it's too much for me. It was more so I feel completely selfish to keep it for myself. Like everybody deserves this exact feeling that I have. You know, whether they're 10 million floors above ground level or on the bottom floor right outside the tallest building in the world, scrounging for the next dollar or the next meal or whatever. I think that everybody deserves to feel the way that I feel right now. And I just wanted to share that, you know? And whether that's me helping a family rebuild their house from a hurricane, whether that's me helping a homeless man get off the streets, whether that's me just fixing up a flower bed for an old lady that hasn't been to church in however many years. I wanted everyone to have that same peace, love, joy, etc. that I found in the church. And so that was my inherent reason for going on a mission. You know, so it wasn't I want to go do this so that I can feel like I did my part kind of thing. Because there's no merit for, and this is personal opinion, I don't think there's any merit for what constitutes you to be worthy or a good person. I think that anything when it comes to those two words or those two concepts, just be as Christ-like as you can. It doesn't entail be as Romaine-like as you can, or be as JJ-like as you can, or as Derek-like as you can, because it's not about us. Good is not about us. It's about just love, faith, Christ, all those things. But it's not about us. So you think about like going to service, do a mission, give back to the world, give back to a homeless person. I don't think it should ever come from a place of I, me, or, you know, it should only be from a place, and that's when, you know, it's genuine.
Maybe to more so on the lines of like to inspire others to do the same?
Or less of I need to do this for myself, but I have to do this for them.
Yeah, I think that in any capacity, if you are influenced, if your actions and feelings, if your actions are influenced by, even in the smallest capacity, I want to do this, or me wanted this, or me wanted that, I think that it's tainted and it's no longer genuine.
Because then I would come back to the.
And I might be very extreme with that. I might be very extreme with that, but I think that as soon as you enter that equation of putting good out into the world, in terms of, other than the action of putting good out into the world, whether you're talking, giving, helping, whatever, the minute that you are entered into that equation outside of the physicality of it, I think that is tainted and it's no longer genuine.
I think to an extent, I think along the lines of I need to do this for me, yes, I agree. But I think in the sense of you want to put good out into the world, you want to be, like you said, more Christ-like, more on that path of what would Jesus do? He'd do this for his people. He would help his people. We are his people, so why would we not help each other? But I feel like, I guess wording-wise, it's not necessarily the peace of mind for yourself, but you can partially do good for others for you. But it's not for your peace of mind. It's more so to separate and differentiate yourself in the sense of, I don't know. But I think
humans should help humans, because that's what we should do, is to help each other. Because we got one planet, one world, one life.
that is the moral of basically what we both just said.
Right, and I guess that was the point that I was trying to like get across. Like, I wasn't trying to make it
say that at one point, yes. Like,
yeah, I wasn't trying to derail and say that, I want to do it just so I can feel good about doing it. That's not what I was.
You definitely had one sentence that said, "I'm trying to prove it for. I'm trying to prove a point."
Okay,
to
that
myself
was in regard to something else.
No, it definitely was about. I'm pretty sure mission trips or something.
No,
like that.
I said to prove to myself about being able to retort scriptures specifically.
well, and that's back to what I was kind of alluding to earlier when I was saying that you're going through. It seems like you're going through a very spiritual time in what? A very spiritual time in your life right now. Like whether it's a phase, a season, or there's a reason. I think that you're definitely going through a more spiritual time in your life, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great, and especially for the podcast, it's something to talk about, something we can explore.
I think
Definitely just talk for an hour and 16 minutes about it.
But talks.
No, I wasn't saying just you. I'm saying we.
Well, yeah, that was the point of this episode. Anyway, I wanted the point to be hopefully to inspire somebody else, just to do something
100%
for others.
Stand by that.
Yeah, that's just what I wanted.
But I also don't think that should be your goal either.
To not help others for the sake of helping others?
That's not what I said. To specifically try to push others in a direction or inspire others in a direction. I feel like
you should just let people be
in
people
that
and
sense,
make them.
You should have your belief. You should have your thought process, your goodwill, your help towards others. You can share that story.
If it sticks, it sticks.
I
mean, I'm not
but
saying
the goal
this is the end
be
all.
to inspire someone.
To that point, talking about religion and all of that, staying on topic, think about the story of Adam and Eve. Whether you're out there, you're Buddhist, you're Zionist or whateverist, JJist or something. Apparently, the basic story of Adam and Eve. Right. So the basic story of Adam and Eve were the classic stories that Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and they were influenced by the devil to partake in a fruit that they were told specifically not to partake. Once they did, they sinned. They formally sinned, and they were cast out of heaven and onto earth. And the first and only thing that they were given when they were cast out was, anybody want to phone a friend or take a guess? What were they given when they were cast out? Religious studies question. When Adam and Eve were cast out of heaven,
Genuinely?
for partaking in the forbidden fruit, what were they given when they were cast? They were given
free will. They were given free will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Agency. They weren't given clothes, they weren't given riches, they weren't given fortunes, they were given something more expensive than anything that this earth has to offer, which is agency.
Yeah.
You and me and the next person and the next person and the next person, we all have agency. And I think that as much as we've been given in this life to succeed within this one and the next, it all boils back down to that. So put out as much good in the world as you can or want to, or you're inspired to, but also remember that it's about agency. So inspire as much as you'd like. Love it.
Yeah, again, I wasn't trying to force anyone. I'm not saying do it. But whoever it appeals to, it appeals to.
Yeah, it's kind of how inspiring things work.
Oh my God. This guy.
It's kind of like him having, his conversation and then we just fuck homeless people.
But
Agency.
That branched out into I think, important subtopic that shouldn't be a whole podcast topic.
What?
The homelessness and thoughts on that.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's probably a good spot to wrap it up, though. I think that was a pretty
again,
solid.
This is Midnight 30. We're meant to just have a talk, communicate, and just open, share ideas, talk about ideas.
Fully unfiltered.
That's the whole
uncensored.
point. Stay tuned next week for episode 3. Well, I guess
Stay tuned next week for episode 4. Because this is 3, so it's coming.
All right.
When they see this.
Anyways, thank you all for listening.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on audio, save it, download it, get ready for the next episode to come out. Pre-save.
Okay.
Stay blessed.
Bye.